The president and his allies have decided on a closing message for the final days of the campaign. Whine about social media and pretend the pandemic is over. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. There is a lot you can say about Donald Trump's inner circle and the leadership of the modern Republican Party, but when you boil it down, it's basically just a collection of gigantic weirdos. They're the people who collect ceramic pigs and sit by their windows, writing down license plate numbers for no reason. Take, for example, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who showed up to one of Trump's rallies yesterday and claimed Republicans were going to take back the House. McCarthy then belched up this, I think, English sentence about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
I want you to watch Nancy Pelosi hand me that gavel. And I promise you this, I won't bang her with it, but I'll bang the end to the socialism and yes to America.
A what now? I'll bang the end to the socialism and yes to America? That sounds like a poorly translated leaflet dropped on Moscow during the Cold War. Why do all these guys talk like rip-off dollar store action figures made in Eastern Europe that your grandma would get you for Christmas? Oh, wow, it's a Fuzz Goodyear? Let me pull the string.
Infinity is where I'm going, and maybe even a little bit further.
The leaders of the modern GOP are basically just a bunch of goofy old puds. Yeah, I said it. Puds. Type of guy who's still working at your hometown bowling alley 30 years after high school because he gets free disco fries. Plus, I get all the shoe spray I can huff, and that is a lot. For example, Republicans held a hearing on big tech companies yesterday just to complain about supposed social media bias against conservatives, which it's not a thing. Now, there are progressives like Elizabeth Warren and tonight's guest Bernie Sanders who really do want to break up big tech monopolies that have consolidated too much power, but Republicans just want to whine about mean tweets they don't like. The best example of that came from Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson when he complained about an obviously satirical tweet.
Mr. Dorsey, you talked about your policies toward misinformation and that you will block misinformation if it's about against civic integrity, election interference, or voter suppression. Let me give you a tweet that was put up on Twitter. It says, Senator Ron Johnson is my neighbor and strangled our dog, Buttons, right in front of my 4-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. The police refuse to investigate. This is a complete lie, but important to retweet and note that there are more of my lies to come. How could that not be a violation of voter suppression? Obviously, if people think I'm strangling my neighbor's dog, they may not show up at the polls. That would be voter suppression.
And another thing, Mr. Dorsey, last night my doorbell rang late at night, so I went to answer it. When I opened the door, there was a flaming bag of poo on my front step, so I tried to stamp out the fire, but I got poo all over my shoes. This is clearly an act of voter suppression by the neighborhood teens, because if I have poo-poo on my shoes, I'll be too embarrassed to go vote. The bigger problem here is Ron Johnson thinks his constituents might actually believe that he strangled his neighbor's dog, and yeah, okay. I can kind of see it. I mean, with that said, Jack Dorsey looks like a dog serial killer. Like straight up a guy who took out multiple dogs. In Ron Johnson's corn chowder brain, a joke tweet about a senator is voter suppression, but invalidating mail-in ballots and making people wait hours to vote isn't. He's like a guy who parks his BMW in a fire lane, then loses his when his car gets towed. This is voter suppression. How am I supposed to get to the polling place now? And then there was Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, who asked the CEO of Google if the company was still employing someone who criticized her.
Is Blake Lemoine, one of your engineers, still working with you?
Senator, I'm familiar with his name as an employee. I'm not sure whether he's currently an employee.
Okay. Well, he has had very unkind things to say about me, and I was just wondering if you all had still kept him working there.
Man, Fox News is right. Cancel culture is out of control. She sounds like she's asking to speak to the manager about a sales assistant at Costco. Is Madison still working here? She had very unkind things to say about me when I tried to sample the pizza rolls in the frozen aisle. Very hurtful things about how I'm not supposed to open the box. This is the fundamental reality of the modern GOP. They're all Donald Trump. He complains about social media, so they complain about social media, even though most of them don't have the tech savvy to handle the laundry room bulletin board. Coffee table for sale? What the hell does OBO mean? This is unfair. This is what the GOP is now. They failed at everything else, so they're reduced to whining about mean tweets and trying to get people fired. And in their warped minds, they think this is more important than the deadly pandemic that's killed 227,000 Americans. Eric Trump actually claimed supposed social media bias against conservatives was the biggest issue in the election.
You better believe they also have their fingers on the dial. I mean, if I put something out that they disagree with, the numbers are down. I mean, I can just see it based on engagements and likes. You can too on yours. They are censoring us. They don't do it to the other side, and it's gross. But Americans are seeing through it. Believe me, Americans see through it. I'm telling you, people aren't happy about it. I think it's actually become probably the #1 issue in politics in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, man, it's definitely the #1 issue in politics right now. In polls, it's right above Hunter Biden's laptop. Leslie Stahl was very nasty to Mr. Trump. And why didn't Ron Johnson kill that dog? He was looking at me funny. Buttons had to go. Of course, none of this is working with voters, which is why Trump is way down in the polls. Now, a lot can still happen before the election, and polls can be wrong, as we've learned before. But right now, the story seems to be pretty consistent. Joe Biden has a large national lead, much easier path to 270 than Trump. 2 national polls this week showed Biden up by 12 and 11 points each, which somehow gives me even more anxiety than if the race was closer. It's like when your wife says she wants you to go on that guy's trip to Vegas for the weekend, and you're like, okay, so what are you going to do? No, nothing. You won't be like, lonely? Oh, no, I'll be fine. Well, then I'm not going. We have to remember not to read too much into any single poll. Just yesterday, one poll had Biden up 17 points in Wisconsin, while another had him up only 5 points in Minnesota. It's the kind of maddening poll result designed to keep you up all night mainlining Xanax and digging through crosstabs. Let's see here. Biden's overperforming with liberal suburban women under 35 who drink Tazo tea and play tennis, but underperforming with centrist NASCAR dads over 50 who refer to the bathroom as their office. Again, anything can happen, which is why you should take nothing for granted. But the fact is, everyone's looking at the same polling data. The Trump campaign knows they can't campaign against Joe Biden, so they've decided instead to campaign against reality, specifically the reality of a deadly pandemic that is once again spreading rapidly out of control. New cases are at record numbers and hospitals are filling up. Over 1,000 Americans died just yesterday alone. Unless we do something different, the bleak reality is only going to get bleaker, as Dr. Anthony Fauci explained on Wednesday.
This is going to get worse because we're going more into a colder season as we get through the fall and into the winter. With the holiday season going, we've got to do something different. We can't just let this happen. We're going to have many more hospitalizations, and that will inevitably lead to more deaths. So this is an untenable situation.
It's only an untenable situation if you're a sane person capable of empathy and compassion and not, a sociopath who dances at his rallies during a deadly pandemic like a hungover Little League umpire calling strike 3, strike 3! But Mr. Trump, that was only strike 1. Yeah, there! Yeah, there, kid! Trump and the GOP just don't care about the pandemic. They don't care that hospital ICUs are filling up, that hundreds of Americans are dying every day. Trump keeps showing a flagrant disregard for human life by holding giant super spreader rallies in hotspots and by pretending that the pandemic is over and that the virus just isn't that deadly.
With the fake news, everything is COVID. COVID. I had it. Here I am, right? People are getting better. And you're immune. That's why I could jump right there. See those men? I'll kiss the men. I'm not into that, but I will kiss every man there and kiss every woman there if you don't mind also. They won't catch anything.
I love how he throws in, I'm not into that, after saying he'll kiss the men, like he's given the gay community the sad news. I'm sure they all had their hopes up. What did he say? Oh, never mind. False alarm, guys. Also, if you went out in the crowd and started kissing people, I'm pretty sure they'd catch something. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump's blood is full of those bacteria they usually only find in Arctic ice core samples. And plus, the Trump White House, remember, is a hotspot. It's probably filthier than a bus stop bench in Midtown. Forget COVID. Has anyone fumigated that place for bed bugs? You just know Trump leaves Diet Coke rings everywhere and used the curtains as napkins like Oscar Madison. I bet if you shined a blue light on that place, it would look like the Hayden Planetarium. If Biden wins, they should just tear it down and build a new one across the street like they did for the Mets. Because if it worked for the Mets, what? No, it didn't. It didn't work for the Mets? How bad is it? Oh, it's bad. Well, at least you still have the Jets. What? Trump has also decided to use his rallies to once again discredit one of the most powerful tools we have in fighting the virus, universal mask wearing. In fact, he seems to have some very weird ideas about how you're supposed to eat with a mask on, as he explained yesterday. Trump thinks instead of just taking it off, you have to get the food through the mask.
And in California, you have a special mask. You cannot, under any circumstances, take it off. You have to eat through the mask. Right? Right, Charlie? It's a very complex mechanism. And they don't realize those germs, they go through it like nothing. They look at you with that contraption and they say, that's an easy one. I'll go right through with the food. Now, how about California, though, where you're supposed to eat with the mask? Can't take it off.
Is it possible you're confusing a mask with a bib? You have to tie the mask around your neck, put it over your face before you eat. You can't see the food on the plate. That's why they put a picture of what you're eating on the bib. Also, why is he narrating the thought process of a germ? He sounds like a doctor giving a TED Talk after a massive head wound. The germs look at you and say, I'm going right in with the food. And then they hit you right on the Big Mac or Whopper, either one. Slide down your throat, into your stomach, where they pretend to be normal cells to blend in. And then when no one's looking, they sneak down to your butt. And that's where the farts come from. We love the farts, don't we? Oh, they make us laugh with their silly sounds. Silly sounds. Not Crooked Joe! Doesn't love the farts. There are less than 5 days left in the campaign, and the ruling party has decided to ignore the raging pandemic. Instead, they're spending their time whining about social media and plotting ways to steal the election through the courts. It's a deeply dangerous, sociopathic movement that's incapable of governing. And if we soundly repudiate them next week, then we can celebrate by saying,
Yes to America.
This has been A Closer Look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.